What's up, everybody? Day one of the NFL draft in the books, and we're just gonna talk. And of course, Jags fans, whoo boy, you want to talk about a whirlwind of emotions watching this draft as a Jaguar fan, because I dropped the video yesterday and I threw out I said it wouldn't happen, but I threw out the exciting prospect of possibly drafting like a Jameson Williams #1 overall if you didn't love edge rusher in the draft. And they did exactly what I didn't necessarily want them to do. And I'm going to explain how I went from not liking the pick to all of a sudden loving the pick. Okay. And I know how that sounds, but there's reasons for it. Just follow me. Okay. So they went with Javon Walker with the first pick overall. All right. I did a video talking about how I didn't want to go with a project at the first overall pick. Now, Javon Walker is a complete freak of nature. Long arms, 270 plus, 6'5". When you're creating a defensive end edge rusher type, this is like the prototype. This is what he looks like. All right. Dude is a freak of nature. Tested out of like just crazy. 4.5 speed, long jump, just an explosive, powerful player. Right. I'm not going to take that from him, but he didn't have the production and he's a bit of a projection. And that was what I didn't love about the pick ultimately. So I'm not going to sit here in front like I was happy when the pick was made, okay? Because I'm like, man, #1 overall, we took a project. Now, you want to know how you take a frown and turn it upside down? The Jaguars then drafted Devin Lloyd at, let me take a look at what pick that was. I believe it was 27. Just want to make sure I have it right. They went ahead and drafted Devin Lloyd after trading up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 27. Now, why is this important? First off, Devin Lloyd is a top 10 talent. Devin Lloyd is a complete monster, stud, everything you can want in an inside linebacker. The only reason he fell this far is because he didn't test the way people thought he would test at the combine. He ended up running 4.6, which we've kind of gotten spoiled as plenty fast for an inside linebacker, but we've gotten so spoiled with these 4.5 times and 4.4 times that people tend to scoff at 4.6. Here's the upside to that. You know how sometimes they say, okay, I didn't know this guy was that fast or that slow or whatever. Let me go look at the tape. He ran a 4.6, which even if he does legit run a 4.6, is plenty fast for an inside linebacker. He doesn't look like a guy that runs a 4.6 when you look at the tape. Like, he looks like a 4.4, 4.5 guy when you're looking at the tape. Diagnosis quick, does everything well. You want coverage? Well, here's 4 picks. You want sacks? Here's 7 sacks. You want run stuffing? Here's 20 plus tackles for a loss to go with over 100 tackles. This is what you're looking for. He was literally compared to Darius Leonard, and we see how Darius Leonard is doing in Indianapolis, and he's bigger than Darius Leonard. I absolutely loved this pick, and it made me love the Javon Walker pick in conjunction. And the reason for that is because these two players, so for instance, right, you have Javon Walker, you're kind of like, I hope it pans out. At least we got Josh Allen, right? But now we have Josh Allen, Devin Lloyd, who's a freak in the middle. We just signed Aluakun to play the other inside backer spot, who is a 4.4 guy and led the league in tackles. And then you add Javon Walker to that. And that is one of the freakiest, most athletic, not just athletic, but nasty front sevens all of a sudden with these 2 draft picks. The front seven's complete. Okay. Don't forget that we picked up Fodakasi. Devon Hamilton's the big hog up front. We have Jay Tufele, who's going to be coming back. Remember, we drafted Jordan Smith was a late round pick, and now Caleb on Chaison's like the third or fourth guy option coming in at edge rusher. The front seven's done. We're gonna be nasty. We have a linebacking core that is full of freaks of nature, and I love that. I talked about how when we're looking for a coach that I prefer the defensive-minded guy because offensive coaches tend to, just load up on offense and don't care about the defense. I think defense is an attitude, and when we walk in the building, we're going to be one of the biggest, toughest teams to deal with. And we're in a division dealing with Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. I am freaking geeked about it. All right. Now we're back to bully ball now. Okay. I love and now think about the rest of the stuff. I was high on Andre Cisco. Hopefully now he's a year removed from the ACL. He should plug into the free safety spot. I don't love Rayshawn Jenkins, but that's another dude that's a hitter just roaming around. Another year of Tyson Campbell. I'm not the biggest Shaquille Griffin fan. All of a sudden, this defense don't be surprised if this is a top 10 defense next year. Okay? Do not be surprised if this is a top 10 defense next year on the strength of this draft alone. Now, moving forward, the Jags, the only thing we're missing now is obviously some depth on the O-line and wide receiver, and there's still plenty of wide receivers here. Justin Ross is still there. Carl Pickens is still there. Now, I'm not sure these two guys are going to make it to the third pick, but another guy that nobody's really talking about, I love me some Alec Pierce, okay? Kid has got the size, runs 4.3, and people just don't seem to be talking about him. Don't know what that's about. Another sleeper, and this guy is going to probably fall to late, right? And I love this kid, and he's another guy that he's going to fall to late because he ran a slow 40 time, David Bell. David Bell is a baller. All he does is catch passes and make big plays. If he fell to us, I'd be through the moon. Okay, so that's that for that. Right, so now let's talk Cowboys. Let me put my cowboy hat on for y'all. All right, Cowboys. I can't say I'm as geeked about our draft as I was the Jaguars draft. All right, the reason for that is we went ahead and I know I talked about us taking BAP. I don't think we took BAP here. All right, we went need, which is something that. You can't knock a team for going need. You can only knock them so much. But this was a kid that, while he does fill a need, he's also a project, right? And now, again, depending on how different stuff sorts out throughout the draft, it could change my perspective on the draft as a whole. But I was a little underwhelmed by this. They went Tyler Smith, who's a project guy, and I'm assuming they're thinking he could plug in at left guard and maybe even play the swing tackle spot to back up Tyron Smith and Terrence Steele. But he requires a lot. They were trashing the pick live. They were saying the guy doesn't have good hand placement, doesn't have good feet. But one thing he does do well is that he's a big, nasty mauler. And that's great. But you had Tyler Linderbaum right behind him getting drafted by the Ravens, which I thought was an outstanding pick. He's just a better player. I understand the thinking that Tyler Smith could solve so many problems. He could solve the left guard problem now, and then one of the tackle spots in the future. But I think we didn't make the best use of that pick. Jermaine Johnson was sitting there. George Karlaftis was sitting there. Lewis Sine was sitting there. Daxton Hill was sitting there. I can't tell you I love this pick, guys, but hopefully it pans out. They get some good coaching on this kid, and we look back and go, all right, that was a good pick. As going forward, clearly I hope the rest of this draft addresses defense. And maybe some more depth on the O-line. I don't think, some people think we need wide receiver. I don't think we need wide receiver unless it just happens to, fall in our lap late in the draft. But David Ojabo's still there. he might fall because of the Achilles tear. He'd be a steal in the second round if he fell to us. Who's another guy? Andrew Booth is still there. I don't think he makes it to 24, but he's still there. If he does, pull the trigger. These are just a couple of guys that maybe we make a move up. Jerry was talking about moving up. We haven't done it. We'll see what happens. I mean, those are my thoughts. I honestly think the Cowboys don't have to do a lot to be competitive this year, but let's hit on these picks. Tyler Smith, we need you to do your thing on the O-line, bro. And I'd love to see Ojabo or Andrew Booth. Who else? I mean, that's really it. I just really want them to address the defense because, we still need secondary help. That second corner spot, we really need to upgrade it. I like Anthony Brown just fine, but you see what happens when he gets put up against, legit wide receivers. I think he's a decent number 2 to 3 corner. He's a passable corner. But when we end up playing teams like Tampa Bay with 2 good receivers, you see what happens. Hell, you saw what Deshaun Jackson did to the man when we played the Raiders this year. He got toasted. So those are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. Remember to comment down below, like, subscribe, share, and tell me what you think of the draft. What do you think of your team's draft? And who do you think are the best players coming up? And what is your team draft? All right? Hit your boy back. Peace.